I'm Mallory, and this is my story. I sought so much of my security and hope and significance in the wrong things, and especially in guys. And you know, that just leaves you empty, and that's not going to fulfill you. In spite of all of that, God is just awesome, because my old Young Life leader in high school, she got married and she and her husband moved to Apex, and they started attending this church called Hope and asked me if I wanted to go. So freshman year, you know, it was really early on. My girlfriends and I, you know, would pile in the car on Sundays whenever we weren't too hungover and would go to Hope. At the end of my junior year, I met my now husband, Kyle. And our relationship started out very similar to the way the rest of my relationships had started out. And he was a believer, and so that was something very different, you know. Neither of us had had anyone mentoring or discipling us for years. He started coming to Hope with me, and the longer we dated, just the more a part of our lives that became. Something clicked, and the Holy Spirit was convicting me, and I went to Kyle and said that some things are going to have to change, you know. And at first we were both really hesitant, but then, you know, eventually God really worked in both of our hearts, and He did change us. And it was a long process. And I remember one of the first things I did when I was so nervous was Hope used to have their small group finder, so I went and got on the small group finder and found this group, Stephanie Lorente and Bree, and so I went to their group, and I was really nervous because I'd, you know, never really done anything like that before, and walked in the first night, and it was incredible. And I was in that small group for about 2 years, and around a couple months later, Kyle actually went on his own and joined a small group as well, a men's group, and Stephanie's husband happened to be in it. Like, it was a total God thing. Through that, God somehow used me to then go and start my own group and become a Vine Life leader. And the year and a half that I did that was such a growing experience in my life. I never imagined, if someone would have told me years ago that I would one day be in a leadership role with other women, I probably would have started just laughing, because that's the last place in the world that I would ever imagine that that I would be. You know, I was too broken for that. There's never any way that I could do that, but somehow I was. Throughout all this time, my relationship with Kyle, I was just waiting, you know, and I was so anxious and wanted him to propose so badly, and was trying to manipulate the situation, and it was not good. And if any of you women are out there that are engaged, you might be, or that are almost engaged or wanting to be engaged, you might, you know, have a keen sense of that feeling. It's really hard, but God's timing really is perfect. Kyle asked me to marry him in February of 2011, and we were married November of 2011, and it's just been the most precious time in my life. And it's so incredible to see how God is, you know, when we first started dating, how He's just built up this man into such a strong, godly man, and this husband, you know, someone I never thought that I would ever have in my life as my husband. Earlier this year, I was on a leadership forum, and the whole point was to discover our vision for impacting Hope. And I had no idea what my vision was the entire time, but after we went on a retreat and some conversations were had, I came home and I looked at Kyle and I said, I think that I need to be working with college women. And it just became incredibly evident that that's where the Lord was leading me. And throughout the past few months, I led a group of college women over the summer, and it was awesome. And last week I just started leading my second group of college women. We're going through Vine Life again, so it's really incredible to see how, you know, this part of my life, my college years, they used to be associated with like shame and guilt and never even wanting to kind of like open that chapter again. And now He's used that time. It's just such a huge story of redemption, because I've experienced those things. I'm able to relate to these women in a way that I never would have been if I wouldn't have gone through that. So God is just so good, and it's a blessing for me to be here sharing my story.